Throughout my English learning journey, I often find myself stuck. And many of those times, I think I brought upon myself all these frustrations. And during all those times, I caught myself thinking in the following few ways that actually kept me from making huge progress. From time to time, I think that my progress will happen consistently at all times. As long as I keep on going, my improvements will happen in a linear way, which of course is not the case at all. Whenever we learn a new skill, the progress never comes consistently and linearly. When we first start, we might achieve very substantial amount of progress because we are literally going from 0 to above. So obviously there's a lot of room for improvement. But as time goes on, our progress will become less and less noticeable until we hit our first plateau. So instead of giving up and thinking that we can't do it, we should simply stick to it. Maybe this means that we need to switch up our learning plans. We need to change our practices to something different, something more challenging, or it just means that we have to keep at it. Over time, after enough practice, we will find ourselves at a high again, and the cycle goes on and on. Another interesting is that once we get closer and closer to advanced level, progress will take more and more efforts, you will find. And yet it's still worthwhile because the last 1% progress sometimes makes more difference than the previous 99%. Other times, I would comfort myself by telling myself that time investment equals progress. As long as I sit down for an hour every day to learn English, the progress is bound to come. While that is the case sometimes, it's simply not the best way to go about our practice. We have all heard quality over quantity, and the same applies to our English learning. Most of the time it's not about how much time we spend, but how we spend it. What do we do in the 30 minutes we have every day to learn English? Do we have a plan? Did we choose our exercises wisely? Are we going in the right direction? Do we really know which area we're trying to improve? These are the things we need to ask ourselves on a regular basis. As we improve, we will have different answers for these questions. At one point, we just got to stop lying to ourselves, thinking that once time is spent, progress is on its way. Not only do we need to commit our time, we also need to be really smart about how to use the time. It won't make sense for us to expect different results if we keep doing the same things over and over again. Another thought that I had is that I can take advice from anyone. So sometimes, for example, when I see someone online who has a really toned physique, I automatically think that I should follow that person and follow their advice on how to stay fit or how to lose weight. And I'm more inclined to believe whatever they say because after all, they are advertisement for themselves. Obviously, they did something right to get to where they are. Now, I'm not going to argue that because that's probably true in most cases. However, knowing how to do a thing is very, very different from knowing how to teach it to someone else. We all had this experience before in high school when we're trying to explain, for example, a math problem to another classmate. It was never as easy as we thought. And that's because having the experience solving the problem doesn't necessarily guarantee that we know the most effective way to articulate our thinking process. And that's why one of the biggest challenges for teachers is not so much knowing the material, but how to deliver it. And also, before we start to take advice from others, we need to ask ourselves first, is what they're saying logical? If someone tells you that your spoken English can be improved or can become native-like in 3 weeks or even 3 months, do you really think that's possible? If someone tells you that their English went from absolute beginner to advanced level in 5 weeks, should you believe that? And also ask, the things that worked for that person, are they going to work for you in the same way as well? There are always things that are left unsaid and things that happened behind the scenes that you don't know. Maybe somebody did lose a lot of weight within a short amount of time, but we don't know how much time that person invested in working out every day. We don't know exactly what that person eats for his daily diet. The process may not turn out to be as easy as it's said to be after all. If we believe all that and take everything at their face value, how is that going to make ourselves feel? We're going to feel discouraged because we're not making as much progress. We're going to wonder what our problems are, what's wrong with us, why are we not improving? And we probably never will. So we might as well give up now instead of wasting our time. After all, English is not for everyone. You see what it does to us? You see how it interferes with our thinking process? So just like that, we're very easily persuaded into believing something that's not even true. And because of that, we lose confidence in ourselves and we simply stop trying. I will talk more about the basic principles in English learning to help you differentiate the good advice from the ones that you should stay away from.